Hello, and welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. I am your aforementioned Spooky Chris Ringler, and I welcome you to my podcast. I am an author, reviewer, podcaster, I guess, after a few hundred episodes. I guess I'm a podcaster at this point. Creative and general ne'er-do-well. You can find everything about my stuff at spookychris.com. And here I am to talk to you, my friends, once more. It's funny, I had an idea of what I was going to talk about floating around in my little nugget. And it was the idea of origin stories and origins and what inspires us and blah, 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 blah. And I've talked about that in my blog before and probably on one of a million podcasts I've done. But having just watched Project Hail Mary, I thought I'd talk about the idea of blockbusters. And in that, we're talking about the movies that are these juggernaut kind of movies that Hollywood pins their hopes on, and which earn almost equal parts derision and adoration from the public. Blockbusters in the modern era really got their going kind of name and everything from like the likes of Jaws and Exorcist and the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, which back then was just Star Wars. And it was these movies that they came out and they just hit the cultural and public zeitgeist at the right moment. They were the right movie at the right time, and really by the right creative teams, and they really captured everyone. Exorcist was unlike anything anyone had seen, in that it was talking about religion and kind of taboo religious topics of faith and loss of faith, and the idea of the demonic, and something taking possession of it, specifically a child. And it's something like that on that level, and then that extremity had not been done before. Not that the mass audiences had seen for sure. With Star Wars, it changed what we looked at as a science fiction film. Science fiction films have been interesting because they get a bad rap, especially the old timey ones, because so many of them feel corny, and some of them are very corny. But it's interesting because they're similar to, in the same way as horror is that horror to many, it's like they think of Friday the 13th and Freddy, and they think of kind of like roller coaster rides, even a Terrifier nowadays, and they don't think of Get Out or Hereditary or Exorcist. They like to divide those two as like, well, that's one is elevated and thoughtful horror, and one is just trashy popcorn horror. Science fiction kind of has the same thing, is that there's so many of them were about giant monsters or giant robots and this and that. But you look at a movie, even like Forbidden Planet, one of my very favorite sci-fi movies, maybe my favorite. I kind of waffle back and forth. And it's very thoughtful, and it talks about very big ideas. And I mean, it's an adaptation of Shakespeare. And we get kind of lost in it's just a rocket ship and it goes to space and this and that. But there's other ideas. I mean, you look at the original Adventure of the Body Snatchers, and it is talking about, there are elements and themes that can be extrapolated to look at the Red Scare and this fear of communism and this and that, because it's the idea of the other and the idea of invasion and being taken over. Which is interesting. It would seem like we're due for another remake. The three that they've done have been fantastic. It's a great book, and the three main films have been fantastic. But so Star Wars came, and it's a space soap opera. It is big and dramatic and big themes, and it feels corny. But that comes from the where the inspiration, and the heart of the inspiration. We're not going to get into Lucas cribbing Akira Kurosawa, etc. Like the core of that comes from the serialized movies that were released in the early days of popular cinema, where before a movie you would go into the movies and they would show sometimes a newsreel, like kind of just keep you up to date on news, big big stories, sometimes a cartoon, sometimes these serialized shorts, and it's essentially a story, and they cut it into little tiny chapters, and you'd get a chapter. You'd go and you'd see a chapter, and a lot of them were like Buck Rogers or these big sci-fi or action adventure epics, and they always ended on a cliffhanger, and it was very dramatic and very over the top. And that's kind of what Star Wars was, and neither of these things have been seen before, and it captured like the characters, the design, so many things had never been seen. And again, with Jaws, it's a horrifying idea, getting attacked and eaten by a shark, et cetera, et cetera. It fills what could have been a B movie with A-list actors who all take and this is the thing, a movie like The Happening, this is why The Happening didn't work, is because they brought actors who they're good enough actors, but they didn't buy into the story. They didn't understand, wait, so nature is attacking? Nature is the enemy? I don't get it. And they didn't get it, and you could tell. Because the story idea is really, really creepy. It's a classic science fiction trope. And the thing is with Jaws is they clearly took it seriously. And I think for, some of, Robert Shaw, you do look at the speech he gives about when he was in the Navy and the ship goes down, and that must have been the heart of his character, and he built from there. And Roy Scheider, probably built it from his family, et cetera, et cetera. But they take it seriously, and the director took it seriously. That's one thing Spielberg, if you don't like him, they don't like him. But as he took it seriously, he doesn't go into his films like, winking at you. Like, I think that's frankly, and I like Crystal Skull, but Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull, the fridge scene it does feel like it's winking at you. It feels a little too cutesy. And so when he does that, when he gets a little too cute, is when you start to kind of lose, like, oh yeah, okay. But he took Jaws seriously, and the movie is handled seriously, and it was just so big, the scope of it, and it was this large scope with an intimate story, and it was horrifying. And again, nothing people had seen. These became blockbusters. People lined up, and the idea of the blockbuster, for those who may not know, is the idea that the lines go around the block, and it's so many people. It's mind blowing. Like, oh my gosh, this many people want to see it. And there's been big movies and this and that, but that was kind of the birth of Blockbuster. And since then, summer is the season of the blockbuster. You'll kind of see a big release around the Christmas, in the summer. Nowadays, like for a while, the heart of winter was when they would kind of dump movies that they didn't really have any hope for. They just kind of get them out there, and like I say, dump them essentially. But now they'll throw a bigger movie once in a while that it just doesn't have any much to compete with. But blockbusters are kind of what Hollywood pins its hopes on. They'll do the smaller movies, and smaller IPs, original IPs, and then they'll hope for like a sequel, a part of a series, a remake, a movie with a big star or a big director, something big, larger than life, and those will be the blockbusters that they release. Everybody knows this. One of them this year was Project Hail Mary, and it's in watching it, like it's a great movie. It's legitimately great. It is emotional. It is super funny. It's really interesting. I hadn't gotten the whole of the story kind of ruined. Even if kind of like anything about kind of, and they spilled it about kind of like who Ryan Gosling's co-star is, kind of, even if you know that, there's elements to the story that you don't know, and it's really good. And the ending was surprising. And in some of the directions it took, it was, so many of these blockbusters will be like paint by numbers or very like pandering to the audience. And there's there's a reason people moan and groan, is because blockbusters can be so many of these requels, sequels, series. It's basically it's playing a greatest hits album from a band that has other stuff. You fans will go to a concert and be like, okay, great, I like these hits, they're swell, but I want to hear these other songs, these deeper catalog songs that don't always get played, because that's what the hardcore fans want to hear. But now, especially nowadays, you're getting kind of casual fans that they want the Spotify playlist. That's what they want to go, and they want to get their phone up and they want to film it, and they want to get the Spotify playlist and sing along and film themselves singing along, and that's what they want. But like, hardcore fans want to be surprised. They want to hear a song that they love reinterpreted. They want to hear kind of after it's been around for a while, hear what it sounds like when it just kind of gets loose and exists for a little while. They want to hear that. And that's it's having seen those kind of shows. It's exciting. It's fun. And that's what we want for movies. And the thing is Hollywood can do that with sequels and requels and blah, blah, blah. They can do things that are interesting and different and new, but so often they don't. And that comes from the top, because they're counting future money. They are like, we need to clear this much money to start making a profit, And the heart of that problem is that they spend too darn much money on movies like these. Like, some movies, they need the budget because they need to, you need the sprawling kind of scale, kind of like a Dune. You see Dune or a Blade Runner, and he's like, okay, yeah, you need the money, because I don't want to just see a bunch of CGI and computer graphics and stuff. I want to see some physical things. But a lot of movies don't need those budgets. That's been the problem with Marvel to some degree, is so many of them became larger than life, and they couldn't make the money back that they invested. And then suddenly it's like, oh, people don't want to see superheroes anymore, and they don't like this, and they don't, it's over. And it was more that the movies were too expensive, the expectations were too high, and the fans just, especially in an era when we can just wait a few months and it will be on a streaming network for free, it's expensive out there right now. And there's a lot of movies I wish I could go see, but I have a family and I have other obligations and stuff, and I can't get out. So I got to wait, like I had to with Project Hail Mary, which it would have been great in IMAX. I can totally see where it would have been just, man, that was not in my cards. Life goes on. But blockbusters, I think we get so caught up, and again, I will come from the place, I don't care about the Fast and Furious series. There's a lot of blockbusters I could scarcely care less about. But I still see I see why we need them, and why we need them is because they pay for movies and not specifically 1-to-1, but they pay for the Backrooms and Obsession and Barbarian and these smaller movies. And maybe the giant studio isn't paying, that's not 1-to-1, like I say, but some of these sub studios are owned by larger studios. And when these big movies hit, it allows them to loosen the purse a little bit to go, okay, we made some money, we can try something. And the problem is that when it fails spectacularly, but a lot of these movies are made with these other movies are made with such limited budgets that failures are a relative thing. Even if they just make it to home release, they can start making their money back. You look at Master of the Universe, which another super fun movie. Master of the Universe and Mortal Kombat 2, super fun movies that came out this year. They are what they are. If you are not into those things, if you are not interested, they're going to mean nothing to you. But they're fun. Master of the Universe nailed the tone. And it was just a real fun movie. And it didn't take it as a joke, but it didn't take it too seriously. And I think that's how you had to do it. I grew up watching the cartoon, and I had some of the toys. And that was the tone you had to kind of nail. And they did. And, those movies didn't blow it up at the box office, but home release, they can start getting more viewers and stuff. and that helps. It helps offset things. You look at Pacific Rim, this movie that was made by Guillermo del Toro, and it was this big giant robot, and again, large scale, and it didn't make its money back. But it got to home release, and between toys and products and stuff, and sales of home releases, and then streams and rentals, suddenly it made its money back, and they were like, oh, we can make another one, I guess. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that Del Toro came back, but like that's how it works. They watch, and there's metrics that they have. And it's so funny because I've known enough kind of film purists and geeks that get, Marvel movies, blockbusters, and they get all in their feelings about it. And to me, it's just like, movies are movies, man. Like if I enjoy it, I don't care where it's coming from, top bottom. It's kind of like having a great meal. If I could get a hot, great meal at McDonald's that did more than just fill me, but made me like, that tasted delicious, it was a great meal. If I can go to a fancy restaurant and get a crappy meal, I'm still going to remember it was a crappy meal. It doesn't matter if it was a fancy restaurant. I paid a lot of money. There's great blockbusters. And again, I'll go back to Project Hail Mary. It was so good, and such a fun movie. And, that's a great example of when it works. But there's plenty of them that don't work. And that's either a personal choice or on a larger scale where it just doesn't come together. And it kind of cuts both ways. And that's just how it is. But blockbusters in and of themselves are not evil. They're not bad. It's not bad to enjoy it. We had friends that like would roll their eyes at people that they worked at a Michael's framing, and they would roll their eyes when people would want Thomas Kincaid stuff framed and everything. And they're just like, oh, Thomas Kincaid. And outside of him as a terrible human being, the art's fine. If it makes people happy, it's fine. Again, we get caught up in what is like, well, that's not real art. That's not this and that. Like, you got to remember what some people think a blank canvas or like a bottle of urine with a crucifix in it or a million things. Anything is art. Anything can be art. Art is interpreted by you personally, and then as a larger whole, the art critic can decide, put it in its context. But you personally get to decide if you like something or dislike it. If you love Thomas Kincaid, cool, you love Thomas Kincaid. That's all that matters, and that's what's important. If you love Fast and Furious, cool, like you love Fast and Furious. Like, we get so invested and involved in what other people's tastes are in this stuff, and it's stupid. You can love blockbusters and love art house films. It's funny because I look now, and it's like my time isn't as generous as it was when I was younger. And I'd go to the movies all the time. I'd go to the art house, and I'd see art house movies all the time. I was all in. I was a Film Threat subscriber, and I loved art movies and all these things. And I saw so much stuff, and it was great. There's brilliant art movies, but there's terrible ones too. We can't act like, blockbusters are all evil and art movies are all great, because that's not how it is. That's just not how it works. And the economy of film is, it all costs money. And without these hits, without these bigger, larger scale movies, these smaller movies don't have, like, there's not money for them. It would be great. It would be great if everything was, original, IPs, and it was all like, because there's especially as an author, there are so many books and so many stories that are not adapted that would be brilliant beyond Stephen King and the handful of authors that always get adapted. So much stuff, but like the publishing world, like like the music world, like everything else, they don't get seen because they want, like, if you were to come up with a Harry Potter meets Hunger Games, you would get a book deal. Like you would, if it was good, you would get a film deal. There's stuff that if you could get a murder mystery that was as thrilling as it was funny, boom. Like you have to. That's what they want. They want simple pitches. They're like, oh, it's Seven meets Friends. Like that's what we have. It's these friends, and they're going to solve this serial killer thing. Blah blah blah. And that's what they want. They want the pitch that is like, oh, I can see this. Both of those things are popular. I see money now. But it's beyond a pitch. It is bringing. It's like you can have a great pitch, you can have a great idea, but you have to bring it together and you have to make it a great idea, or everything would be successful or terrible. Like that's how it is. But I mean, I always loved blockbusters as a kid. Like I remember when the first Tim Burton Batman film came out, and it truly was that you had to be there. Where people waited outside. Like we filled the local theater. Like it was sold out shows, and we were packed in there waiting for our show. And it was just there was a buzz in the audience. Like when the Star Wars prequels came out. Like it's the only time I've ever waited in line for a movie, and it was like I waited for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It was not a big deal, but there's so much excitement and so much electricity. And that's what's fun. Is the thing is I waited in line for the 7th Harry Potter book, like because again it was such a thing, and you don't get that now. And much like people my age and stuff was like, oh man, you missed out on the days of going to a record store, like and buying the new CD. Like we had a local place where all the weirdo kids would go, and like you knew Tuesday is cool, like and you kind of like, oh cool, this such and such comes out that day. They opened up, it was called Wind Up Records, and they opened up at midnight to sell, what was it? Like I can't remember if it was like Danzig 4, and did Metallica come out that day, and like maybe a Megadeth album. Like there's a few that came, but like they'd open up at midnight, and stuff like that was so exciting. When people waited in line for tickets, like those are cultural things that are gone. Boop, whatever. Much like things that we went through now will disappear someday. But like it's exciting to get excited about movies, and there's so much troll press and so much just like over it. Like you don't have to like soft pedal or be gentle with movies you hate or movies that are terrible. And you don't have to like sing the praise like, oh, there's a new Star Wars, everyone get excited, oh my gosh. But you also don't have to be like, ugh, another one, stupid, over it, but when it hasn't come out. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But any kind of buzz, anything can get, any excitement people have, there's got to be like several people just to make sure to stamp on that excitement. Like, oh, I'm excited there's this album from these people. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Like, nothing is like, we don't want to be excited anymore, which is just weird. And I don't know if it's part of it's just it's that troll culture, and it's like I want to be first. I want to be I want to be the one to say it's terrible. So if it is terrible, I'm the one that gets the credit, or I want to be the one that says it's great because you could go the other way. Much like the Snyder fans, where it's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. Everyone needs to love it. When I mean, I love like the Snyder movies, whatever, man. But like, they're whatever. So that like, people don't get a chance to kind of make their own minds up, and part of it that's us, that's audience, that's consumer culture. It's us like going on our social media and everything and listening to every voice, idiot podcasters like this guy, and saying, oh well, if these people don't like it, I won't like it either. I went into Obsession and I was kind of had my arms folded. I'm like, I liked it. I thought it was good. I have a lot of feelings about it, but I'm not going to get into it. But it was good. There's a bunch of movies like that. There's classically the last Alice in Chains album with Lane Staley, the self-titled Alice in Chains. It was also called Tripod. I got it and hated it. I was like, ugh. Over the years, it's really grown on me. Like I don't know. It's hard to come from an album like Dirt and then compare them, but like it's a good record. Like it's more stripped down, but I liked it. It was really good, and that's happened a few times. Prong, there's an album like that. And at the heart of it, like I've said a million times, it's about what you love and what you are interested in, what you like. And if you don't want to see stuff, don't see it. But you aren't obligated to poo on someone's parade because you don't want to see or ingest it. You don't have to. That's a decision you can make. And the fans don't have to be crybabies when everyone doesn't love what they love, because the thing is if you love it, that's who matters. You can proselytize it. You can be like, oh, you have to see it. It's the greatest thing ever. Not everyone's going to agree with you. And that's the way it is. I have friends that like that. Like, we'll talk about movies and they'll be like, meh. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have to like what you like. You don't have to like what I like. We like each other. That's all that matters. And I still kind of get excited for blockbusters. I'm excited for the new Spider-Man movie whenever I get to see it. I'm excited for the new Avengers movie. I'm excited for a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm also excited for small stuff. I was so excited for the Backrooms. And again, someone might say, well, that was a blockbuster. The blockbuster made for like less than $10 million. So come on, get over it. I love small movies. That's what draws me to digging into the dustbin and trying to find found footage movies I have never heard of and want to see. Because once in a while you see a Leaving DC, and it's like, oh, I like that. That's really good. And that's what it's all about. And yeah, blockbusters are very in your face, and they're the popular kid in school. Like, it's easy to root against them because you're just like, of course everybody's going to like it because it's the biggest, loudest thing here. But once in a while they're good. Once in a while that popular kid in school isn't a jerk. Once in a while they're not a bad person. It makes it awkward, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't make it easy to like root for them because you're like, man, they're cool, popular, handsome, cute, and they're nice. Screw you. But yeah, like, and it doesn't have to just be movies. Like, these are big release, like there's a new U2 record and you're like, oh, I hate U2. Good for you. I had a friend that loved U2, and every time they would ever release a record, he would have been like on it like a bonnet. And good for him, man. Like, there's so much division and derision and so much crap in the world. The things that make us happy we should embrace and root for, and stop like, oh, it's another Star Wars movie. It's going to be the same as everyone else. Blah, blah, blah. It's woke Star. Like, it's just, and I'll never understand the troll culture that like, and they're bullies. And I've dealt with enough bullies. And I know them, but they don't make sense because there's nothingness in them. There's so much dislike of themselves and hate and unhappiness. And they want to spread it like an infection because if they can't enjoy whatever, then they don't want anyone else to enjoy it. And I'm sure they'll be like, no, it's not. It's because it's stupid. I mean, but that's kind of what a bully would say. And again, you don't have to like everything. You don't have to be excited. There's so many. I'm trying to think of like some, but yeah, I enjoy the Avatar movies, but I don't follow myself when they come out. Like, I see them on Disney Plus, and they're fine. They're great. Whatever. They're cool. They're fine. Like the Dune movies, I don't get as excited about as like the Avengers movie. But they're still good. Or even like I'm trying to think of a movie this year, like a blockbuster, Devil Wears Prada 2. Could scarcely have cared less about it coming out. But it made a bunch of money and a lot of people liked it. Cool. Like, that's great. It has nothing to do with me beyond that. Do I think that someone was like, oh, we could fund this indie movie, whatever it would be, or we could fund Devil Wears Prada 2? No, because they're not on the same level. The money that Devil Wears Prada 2, that money never would have gone to that indie thing. It just wasn't. It wasn't going to happen. They're two different pots of money. But Devil Wears Prada 2 might have made enough money that someone else's smaller movie might get a shot. Whether it's because it's in the same vein, same genre, same actors, or just is small enough and interesting enough that they're like, you know what, we can take a chance on this because we made money over here. Like, when you have a bunch of losses, that's why people worry about like Blumhouse and their losing streak they've been on, is like, well, that means that some of the things that they could have done, they won't do because they don't have the money they've been losing. And it's all relative. But after seeing that, Project Hail Mary, it popped in my head. And it's funny to me that blockbusters, for such a fun, exciting thing, it's like the circus coming to town. There's such a big spotlighty thing, and you just want to kind of go. Sometimes you want to go. Sometimes you want to eat junk food. Sometimes you want to go see the biggest band in the world play their greatest hits. Sometimes you want to hear, sometimes you just want something that everybody else wants, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean the people that don't want to do that are wrong. It just means that everybody just wants what they want, and that's what makes everything great, and that's what makes, in this case, movies and being a movie geek great is because there's so many different things to watch. Like Man Alive, there's so many great international films that don't get heralded. There's so many indie films, regional movies, all this stuff that people don't see. That's why, I mean, one of the reasons I love doing a film festival is all of these people, like from around the world, have sent me movies in the hope that I'll show it at this festival in the center of Flint, Michigan. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And a lot of these movies folks wouldn't see if they weren't at a festival. That's pretty great. So I don't know. Here's my blockbuster for you. I will leave you. I hope you enjoyed. As always, you can find all of my content at spookychris.com. It's all my podcasts. I've done tons of interviews with amazing, interesting people, and those are all on their archive. You can check my blogs out, my many, many reviews from movies and that stuff. And links to all my books. I've written over 20-some books, and from kids' books to mysteries to outright horror, and I think you'll find something you're going to like. So go to spookychris.com. You can find my podcast on your least favorite podcasting app, and I will talk to you soon, my friend. Farewell.